Visually, it's been amazing. So you can manipulate these images, you can look at them in a way no one's been able to before without being under a microscope and a couple little pins. The overall goal of our project is to get fossils that you can see in the museums, most of them you can't see because they're stored, into the public. So someone can go on the internet and download an object and they can print it. The technology has really helped us visualize these animals, both extinct and extant. So there could be a very tiny animal with a skull maybe about that big, and we can print the skull this big to really see the differences between other organisms.
Yeah, this is the 3D print of a skull of a hatchling alligator. What this allows us to do is this was originally far, far smaller. We can print it at just about whatever size we want. The only limit is how big the 3D printer can print something. It's just much easier the way our brains are made to hold something and to look at it in 3 dimensions rather than to look at it through a microscope or look at a blown up picture on a computer screen.
These specimens are extremely small. And so this right here is the ilium. So it's part of the pelvic girdle of the earliest frog from North America. And it's about 6 or 7 millimeters in total length. And parts of it are only maybe a millimeter in height. And what we've been able to do is CT scan the specimen and then 3D print it at about 40 times its actual size so that you can actually see all of the anatomy of the bone. So by being able to do this, we can now study these bones just like the people that study large dinosaur bones, where they can look at minute features and put that in a comparative context with all other known fossil animals. So this is allowing people who study microvertebrate bone beds to kind of catch up to researchers who have been studying larger bodied animals in the fossil record.
We can send a 3D file to any colleague that we have around the world, as long as they have a pretty fast internet connection, to help us with identifications, or if they're curious and they can't fly all the way to Virginia to come see these bones, at least they have the 3-dimensional files that they can check some features for themselves.
So this is a femur or a thigh bone of a dinosaur relative called Teleocrator. They're very rare. They're only found in Tanzania, although there's relatives found all over the world. And so we wanted to make research copies of it because it'll eventually go back to the country that it was found in. And so we've made research copies in a few different ways. This is a cast that we made from a mold. It's not the worst thing in the world, but when you take it out of the mold, when you're first cutting it out, maybe it'll break. So it's also only good for things that are robust enough to be able to be molded. But what we've also done is made a 3D scan, which you can do without touching the bone. So it's much better for preserving the bone, and it can work for things that are extremely fragile. And then 3D printed that 3D scan. Another nice thing about this is that I can make 100 of these, and it costs me roughly about the same as it costs to make one of them. With the cast, the only way anybody else in the world can make one of these casts is if I physically send them the mold.
This ancient lepidosaur, so an ancient relative of living lizards, we only found the right jaw. So this is a 3D print of this jaw here, which is about 1 centimeter long. And it preserves the entire right side of the lower part of the face of this animal. And so what I'm able to do with the 3D printing technology is mirror that bone. So now I have both the left and right lower jaws, which is a pretty good approximation of what they would have looked like. And I can put them together so that you get the whole lower jaw apparatus of the animal.
There's so many people out there that grew up, while they're growing up, said, I want to be a paleontologist, but other things happened. Maybe they got into an astronaut phase, but essentially they can come back to that now and actually see some of these specimens that are really rare, but we can share it with the world through these kinds of technologies.
Keep watching this channel for paleontology news and information, as well as our short documentary features. If you like what you see, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, and if you can, please consider supporting us on patreon.com. For as little as $1 a month, you can help create something of value for everyone.